If you follow me over on Instagram, you'll know that I've been working very hard on a brand new brew bar for the channel. And today we're looking at an item that I've always dreamt about having on that bar, an automated tamper. Yes, a commercial tamper is quite likely overkill for my home setup, but as a coffee YouTuber, I have always really liked the idea of removing as many variables as possible so that I can truly focus on reviewing the product that is in front of me. And the Cinoart PT2 not only does exactly that, but it might just be the best automated tamper currently available. Let's dig in. For the sake of transparency, Cinoart did send me this unit for review, but as always, that will not have any impact on the contents of this video or the opinions that I express. If you want to check out this product, I'll have it linked down in the description below. Starting off by looking at the design of this machine, I really appreciate the simple, minimal, and mostly unbranded look that they went with. An automatic tamper is exciting from a workflow perspective, but I don't necessarily think it's an item that should draw too much attention to itself on a brew bar. I've seen plenty of setups I liked using the more distinctively shaped puck press, but I think the Cinoart will be able to visually blend in with a wider range of gear. With that being said, I do wish that the silver lid was done up in the same color as the rest of the body to give it an overall more uniform look. The silver version doesn't have that same problem. Apart from the very simple looks, the other thing that differentiates the PT2 is this warm, glowing yellow light in the tamping area. And while I do appreciate the more futuristic look that gives, I kind of wish that they gave you the option to cycle through at least a couple other colors other than yellow to match your own brew bar. If you don't like ambient lighting at all, there is the possibility to turn that off. The build quality of the PT2 was very good. The whole body is metal, it weighs 3.7 kilograms, and is extremely rigid, as you would expect from something that can produce up to 38 kilograms of pressure. There is also a rubber ring on the bottom to eliminate sliding, as well as a removable rubber mat on the inside, which was actually a surprisingly useful feature for easy cleaning. On top, several membrane buttons are used for the setup and recall of programs, and a digital display shows your current settings, with the left number showing the pressure and the right side showing the number of tamping cycles. More on that later. The most intriguing feature about the PT2, at least for me, was their so-called guide leveling system, or GLS. And despite being extremely gimmicky sounding, I come to realize that it was solving a very real problem. Having a level tamp is probably one of the most important aspects of puck preparation, and maybe even the reason that many people will opt for an automated tamper. With a traditional hand tamping setup, there's always the opportunity to have an uneven tamp by moving either the portafilter, the tamper, or both. On an automatic tamper, you're guaranteed to have the tamping piston move straight up and down, but what I failed to realize is that there's still the potential to tilt the portafilter relative to that piston. Now this issue can be largely eliminated by properly adjusting the lower guides to hold the portafilter as tight as possible, but it still needs to be able to slide in and out, and therefore there will always be some movement. The GLS system adds a collar that comes down with the tamper and contacts the top edge of the filter basket, which forces the portafilter and basket into the perfect position relative to the tamping piston. This is a clever system that I think improves greatly on the basic cradle that the majority of other systems use. The next spec that separates the Cinoart from its competitors is the range of available tamping pressures. It can be adjusted in 1 kilogram increments, all the way from 2 kilograms up to a max of 38 kilograms. And while I don't see myself using those min or max values all that often, I do appreciate that they're available to me to possibly experiment and provide you guys with some interesting content in the future. And this brings us to the second headlining feature of the PT2, which is a multi-stage tamping. The PT2 not only allows you to tamp once, twice, or even 3 times, but it also gives you the option to program in a different tamp pressure for each of those actuations. Now, multi-stage tamping is something that I use each and every time. I tamp twice just to make sure that there's no loose grounds on top of my puck, and that works great. But for the life of me, I could not find any concrete research on what the benefits of a multi-staged and multi-pressured tamp would be, nor could I even think where I would start in trying to test that for myself. I simply don't think that there'd be any appreciable benefits to tamping lightly first, just to tamp harder after, or tamping lightly after already having tamped hard. So I reached out to the company to try to get an idea of their motivation behind adding in that feature, and essentially the response was, we don't know either whether it would have a positive impact, but it wasn't that hard to add in, so we added it in. And to be quite honest, I really respect that attitude. It wasn't hard to add, so we added it. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. Fair enough. Moving on to the actual user experience, I think it's important to remember that my brew bar is not necessarily the target audience for the PT2. There were a couple of things that annoyed me that might not be such a big issue in a more commercial setting. One of those things was that there is no dedicated power button. Instead, you need to hold down two seemingly randomly chosen buttons at the same time. In a cafe, doing this once a day wouldn't be an issue, but at home when it gets switched on and off more frequently, the experience wasn't all that great. My only other complaint was the layout and labeling of the buttons. They were far from intuitive. You have the options to program in 3 custom tamping profiles, but the buttons you use to recall those programs are already labeled 10 kilogram, 20 kilogram, and 30 kilogram. The button you use to save the profile is labeled down up because it also is used to put the piston into the cleaning position, and programming in a multi-pressure, multi-stage program was a tough process to say the least. But other than those complaints that center largely around the user interface, I've really been enjoying my time with the PT2. It's got some great built-in features like a shot counter and a cleaning mode that would be good for preventative maintenance in a cafe setting. It's got sleek looks, it's built like a tank, it has a class-leading range of available pressures, it has a buzzword feature in the GLS that works exactly as advertised, and it has a second buzzword feature in the multi-stage, multi-pressure tamping that does work as advertised, but the jury is still out on whether you can actually improve your coffee quality with it. It has undeniably added an additional layer of consistency and speed to my workflow, and in combination with the Duomo WDT tool, I'm not sure you could ask for a more straightforward and repeatable puck prep experience. If you're currently in the market for an automated tamper, then you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you don't give this one a good hard look. As always, I will have a link to this product down in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave us a like, and even consider subscribing if you want to see some more like it in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.